The original LA-3A leveling amplifier made its debut at the 1969 New York AES show and marked the departure from the tube design of the Teletronics LA-2A leveling amplifier. It offered a new sound and optical gain reduction with faster attack and release characteristics that were noticeably different from its tube cousin. The faster attack and release makes it a great choice for drums, piano, and other percussive instruments. Modeled from a unit in UA's historic rack collection, our digital emulation of the LA-3A faithfully captures the hardware's sound and works magic in your DAW with up to 14 stereo instances at 44.1K. The UAD LA-3A features peak reduction, output gain, and separate compression and limit modes, which offer different compression ratios. You can also switch the meter to view output or gain reduction, or turn the compressor off, saving DSP power.
I am going to use the LA-3A on this drum kit, starting with the snare. The attack and release are fast enough to compress the snare, even though this is an optical type compressor, like the LA-2A. I'm going to solo the snare and then disable the LA-3A to hear the difference. Cranking up the peak reduction really brings out the ambience and highlights the differences between the comp and limit modes. But I think the snare sounds better with less compression, about 3 dB of gain reduction. Now let's hear the snare with the rest of the kit as I disable the LA-3A. You can hear that the LA-3A brings out the tonality of the snare more. I also used the LA-3A on the room mics on the drum kit, compressing them pretty hard, around 7 to 10 dB. Soloing the room mics, you can really hear how the LA-3A brings out the ambience of the room. You can also squash this track pretty well, and it still sounds good. Now let's hear it with the rest of the band, and then disable it. It really increases the ambience of the drum kit. On this guitar track, I'm using the LA-3A just to tighten up the overall levels, but it still lets just enough of the guitar's attack through to keep the transients intact on the single notes, and smooths out the levels when playing chords.
Simple yet effective, the UAD LA-3A adds another fine vintage processor from the UA line of analog emulations to your desktop.